smash the like. It's going to be another good one. Let's fucking go. I agree. It's going to be a good one. I appreciate you joining in, jumping in already. Hopefully you can get in draft. Mike Rob, stream hasn't even started yet. And Steve already, he's got 6 likes. Drafting Steve, drafting all night, buddy. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'm going all night, but I'll do at least 2 drafts. But yeah, I definitely want to hang out with you guys and talk ball, do some drafts. I was hoping Underdog would have dropped me the puppy. I think it's time. Our guy Thad on real time. Thanks for joining us. RB is our king. You know I'm right there with you, bud. I 100% agree. This is half point PPR. I want to win the flex, and I do that by keeping a strong running back room most of the time. So appreciate everyone for already jumping in chat, already hitting the like button. Yes, hit the like button. You get 25 likes. I'll definitely do a second draft, maybe a third. We'll see how we're feeling. Again, hoping for more contests, but while we wait a few more minutes for people to filter in, let's talk about some things. Underdog did release their college football product today, Best Bowl Mania. I will do some of these. I did some last year. Did okay, advanced to the playoffs, had 1 or 2 teams get to the semifinals. I think that might have been in the smaller one, though. They released a $3 one, a couple $3 ones, I feel like. But it's really nice. It's 3 of 12. I'll have to see what it was last year. I feel like it was different last year. 3 of 12 out of the first one, round 1 of 5, 1 of 6, 186 seed final. Yeah, not something I'm going to max, but definitely something I want to play around with. I do want to look at the schedule. One tough thing, I assume it's the same this year. One tough thing about college football is since teams buys, the NFL, all buys are done by week 14. That's not the case for college football. There were some teams last year who, like, at least in the quarterfinals, I'm not sure about the semifinals, or finals, but there were some teams last year, some good teams. I feel like Oregon was missing in the quarterfinals. A couple other good teams. So it's a little different. You do need to be cognizant. You could get to playoffs and then, lose out on some of your top guys. You said I'm muted? Can everyone hear me? Well, let me know if anyone is having sound issues. B. Grandy, nice seeing you. Good seeing you in here. We'll be doing a couple drafts shortly. Green Bean, how's it going? Meg checking in. I'm good. All right. Sounds like we're good. Just want to make sure. Kelly, good to see you. Glad we are good, doing well. Thank you, everyone, for helping me out. 5 sets of 47. I hear you fine. And 5 sets, I ended the stream last night. I really appreciate it. I saw you send a super chat. We really appreciate that. We appreciate everyone's support from watching, drafting with us, liking us, subscribing to both the YouTube and our Fanspeak Network on Substack, and of course, super chats. We really appreciate that. So I definitely, next time we're in a draft or you want me to review a team of yours, I'm always happy to. Definitely want to let you know how much I appreciate that, and thank you again. So we will get into the draft in a second, but let me know in the comments, anyone else who's interested in college football, if you're going to do any or not. I definitely know it's not for everyone. I assume they will release some smaller ones as well, some $3 ones. And I don't think this should preclude them from throwing a puppy out maybe tomorrow. Maybe we get lucky tomorrow, because as it was expected, the Chihuahua filled in about 60 hours. The Pit Bull also filled, and obviously taking longer, but that's 2 tournaments now off the list. We're down to the Dachshund. I have 1 last entry left. I'm going to do that tonight, and that's now 65% filled. So, within a week, by the time we get to Friday, this I think is definitely filled. Corgi's still going. I have one of these I can do. If people haven't done it yet, we could jump into that tonight if you want. And then, of course, all the other mainstays are still out there. But hopefully we get some new tournaments tomorrow. Greyhound's still cooking. It's a great tournament, but I get it. It's a single entry, higher dollar, and fast only, which is tough because it doesn't fill easy. I did mine on stream with actually BBG, And, it's a tough one. I do recommend the tournament. It's a very, it's only a little bit more than a BBM. 2 of 12 advanced, then 1 of 5, 1 of 4, 53 seed final. I was in the finals of this last year. In fact, going in through after the Christmas Day games, because I believe I had Lamar in this, maybe through Friday or through Saturday. I actually thought this was going to be my best tournament, but it just didn't come through. But it was a fun finals, 53-person final, and you win 750. So it's a pretty good payout if you can get to the finals. All right, we will jump in a Dachshund to start. And one other programming news tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to be on with Bigelow Fantasy. He works for ETR. He also, among others, launched this Drafter Pass. Really fun tool, really fun website. You can upload your teams, rank or vote on, you get options of 2 different teams and you see which one you like more. And then it compiles the rankings and stuff like that. So it's just fun. Great way to, kill some time, enjoy looking at drafts, different structures out there. And it will also then show, you can then sort afterwards by like tournaments. There's pre-draft, post-draft. I haven't uploaded for like Superflex yet, but I believe you can do that, as well as the Eliminator, all the different styles. So it's a really fun tool. Definitely looking forward to talking to Bigelow tomorrow, hearing more about the process of it. I know they've already made a lot of upgrades since it was first came out, so they're very good about talking about upgrades, and if they can do it, they'll do it. It sounds like so. If you can join me at 1 tomorrow, shoot some questions. If not, watch the episode later, and we'll do probably at least one draft tomorrow as well. But yeah, leave questions because I know they just want good feedback. So Bindles, good seeing you. I know you're on tonight with Candyman and I believe Sacrilegious, so that should be a good show. Peak Randy, yeah, I'm addicted to it as well. A lot of times when I'm in, watching other people's streams, drafts, and if you want to do this while you're watching this tonight, I have it on in another tab, and I do a couple quick votes, especially if I did miss the draft. So it's something definitely fun to do. Got our guy Stephen WC in here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you too, Stephen. Mike Robb asked the question, did the normal Monday night show get postponed so Andrew can rage on Twitter? Yeah, so Andrew, I believe, is out of town, and Justin had some family stuff, and he's doing so much for Jeopardy. So it was like, I'll fill in and do a show tonight. Why not? So Meg just said the same thing. Hardest working Jeopardy host. Yep. So I'll enter from my computer. I'll count it down again. I know yesterday we weren't able to hit the countdown perfectly. There is a little delay. Maybe try to hit it this doesn't fill as fast, so hopefully it's not much of an issue if anyone wants to join in. Last night I was saying like hit it when I say 8 or 9, maybe try and hit it at 7 or 6. Hopefully there will be less underflow and overflow. But I'm going to count it down and enter here. My final Dachshund, I've done 2, I think, fast, and 1 I'm going slow. So I'll count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, no location error, waiting for 3 people. So hopefully anyone who wants to, you can get in. So we will down to 2 people, and we'll do that. And then afterwards, we'll figure out what's the next draft we're going to do tonight. All right, we are filled. Let's see. All right, we got some friends in here. I see already. B Grandy's in here. One on real time. That looks to be the only people that I see. If I'm missing anyone, please let us know in the comments who else is in here. But this should be a fun one. And I went over this tournament last night. I think it's, not my favorite, not making money to hit playoffs, but at least it's not waiting to finals like, like the Corgi. So I think it's a pretty solid tournament. I definitely want, I'm definitely maxing it, obviously, but I hope Underdog never makes this like their preferred style of tournament payouts. I just don't think the upside is worth it. That's my opinion. I know not everyone might share that, but I was really glad to see they launched 2 tournaments late last week on the 4th. One's already filled. This one not far behind. So hopefully we're going to get more and more. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. All right. Yeah. A few picks till we're on the clock. I'm in the back half, so and I know it was more for the Superflex drafts when I was getting an inordinate number of picks 1 through 5. But I've had last night of three of my 4 drafts, I was 9 or 10. So I've gotten more back half lately. I do think it evens out over the course of things. We'll see who we get. So far, no real surprises. Just gonna queue, but I'm pretty happy with anyone here. I think that's what's nice. And I know Justin Herzig had a tweet about he actually doesn't like that 2 through 5 range. I like the back half. I don't mind. I feel they're very similar, so there's not somebody I feel like I need to have. I want exposure to all of them. McCaffrey probably has the highest upside just because we've seen it before, but I want pieces of all these guys. I will take Nico. And we will potentially double tap receiver here if Thomas is there. If not, I'll take 1 of the 2 running backs. All right, I have more Henry than a chain. Let me take a chain here. Steve's the substitute teacher. Time to bend the rules, people. I hit it at 8 last night. When you say hit it at 8, you mean when you maxed? Got our guy Spread in here. How's it going? Yeah, Meg tried to set up some music in the background. Wasn't working for me. So we will see. Maybe later I'll get that figured out. Let me know if that's something you guys want. Eddie, good seeing you. Meg is in the chat. We are right now drafting my final Dachshund. We'll draft something after this because I believe we're almost at the light goal already. And we'll figure out what we do next. I'm going to go back to the board. So far, A.J. Brown with a little pull-up, but outside of that, nothing too crazy. We are seeing Brock fall more. I got him in a draft. I think it was a Chihuahua at 24 last night. So that was nice. And I think that's more where he should go. And then I've seen McBride, a couple slows today. I got him in the low 30s, and I like that. That's why I'm going to take McBride more. Hartman, GM, good seeing you. Yeah, well, thank you very much. We got our guy Nick in chat. Hartman and Nick both do stream on their own as well. Nick's channel, WTF. So if you see him say WTF in here, that's him talking up his own channel, and it's Win the Flex. And you know, I was on it. I did a show with him probably a little over a month ago now, but we did a couple really good drafts on his stream, and just a really good guy. So always appreciate seeing Nick in chat. And you know, my philosophy to win the flex is to win at running back, and so I'm 100% with him. I think the more positions you win, the better your chance of advancing and potentially going far. We want the music. Now, is that just a Meg thing, or is that everyone else? That's the question. Yeah, Eddie, I'm sorry. I know last night was tough. This time I tried to count it better. And so I saw you weren't able to get in this one. But we will definitely try to get you in more drafts. I need to. So yeah, big debate on the music. We're coming up in a few picks. B. Grandy with the strong double running back start and point up Josh Allen a little bit. I actually like that a lot. Also love point up Allen to the Saquon part. You just got that week 17 stack, and you did so with, you know, an elite quarterback, potentially the high scoring player in fantasy if he's quarterback one. So I'm a big fan of that. And we're seeing McBride fall. Boy, do I like this. You know, just for so long, he was kind of locked into that 22 through 25 range. And, you know, I have him ranked 30th. If I could get him here at 35, I will do it, especially with Adams going off the board. Adams would have been a tough decision. So I don't get the McBride fall all the way. And I didn't get Mike Evans either. I was hoping for Mike Evans for some correlation. We will take Breece Hall. Might hit an elite quarterback here. Kittle's also coming up. I don't know if I want to pull him up anymore, but we're definitely not getting him pushed back like we were. This is not my favorite area. I'll take Jaden. You know, I think going in this range, in this third, fourth round, it's never a bad call to take one of these elites. Fantasy Football Garage, Candyman. In the chat, what up, Steve? How you doing? I know I saw Bindle's in earlier. You know, you and him are going on ballsy tonight with, I believe it's Sacrilegious. That should be a good one. Looking forward to it. No, definitely not rap, Stephen WC. I think Meg should sing the music. Now that would be interesting. And at least she admits it. So, but yeah, I don't know if we're going to turn this into, you know, American Idol best ball. It would be entertaining. That's one word for it. So let me go back to the board. You know, this is the downside of picking at the back. Like, obviously, had like Terry falling, him and Jaden are perfect. But I just didn't feel I got any of my favorite guys. Didn't get the Mike Evans. I was hoping to get the Mike Evans correlation. Devontae Adams there, Trey McBride falling. Those would have been great. You know, I'm fine with guys like Breece Hall and Jaden Daniels. They're just maybe not my preferred picks, considering the Nico Achane start. So let's go back to the board. Coming up on the turn here. The turn went, Cincy down the board. We'll see if anyone snipes Burrow from him. Definitely no clear reason to, but pulls up Kamara, which I am a big fan of. I think Kamara is very, very underdrafted. Yeah, Eddie, that's right. You're in Texas also, aren't you? Are you around Houston, I believe? FK Coolers, 2 quarterback build. I assumed maybe an extra wide receiver now. Yeah, we'll see. A lot of times, for me, it depends on who my second quarterback is. I made this in a comment in draft last night. To me, there's a big difference to go. I used Lamar as the example, like Lamar and Geno versus like Lamar and May. Lamar and May, I'm good at 2 quarterbacks. Lamar and Geno, maybe I want a little extra. Even if it's another late guy, even if it's like Lamar, Geno, and Aaron Rodgers, or Lamar, Geno, and Cam Ward, or Daniel Jones, I feel better about that. But I think it depends, because then you're kind of balancing. It's still like total quarterback capital, and that's generally how I feel. I mean, I mix it up absolutely, and we'll see. I could. The other thing I did say with the Dachshund, since it's so important to advance at least to semis, like maybe having a third quarterback in this kind of build format is a little better to help ensure that. Is also another thing to consider. But yeah, we'll see. I think it really determines like how these couple picks go. I'm probably looking at double receiver. But we will see. I will take Travis Hunter. He has been falling. I bumped him down in the ranking some, but I think this is good value. The upside is there. I have no problem taking Travis Hunter now that he's falling to like middle, late 5th. Dunze, which one? Jennings. I'll go Dunze. I think this right now, I like where I'm at. I could make, in terms of another quarterback, not going to take Tua with the same buy as Daniels. Definitely wouldn't be able to stop at 2 there. But Justin Fields, Stroud and Lawrence a little later. Could double tap the second, sophomore quarterbacks with Caleb if I feel like there's value there. So I'm definitely, and Jennings would have been another one I could have targeted. Purdy, obviously. Let's catch up in chat. Well, let me go to the board, and I will catch up in chat. And yeah, karaoke baseball is Coach Peak's gimmick, and he's very good at that. He's very good at karaoke. So Meg says we had him on stream last year. He did a little bit. Yeah, Eddie, that's right. You are in Houston. I thought so. You got a lot of Houston people. Emo also in that area. Steveospeaks and Mego sings. Yeah. Both Best Ball Breakfast and Fantasy Sanctuary. Kareem was talking about liking 3 quarterback builds, even sometimes with elite. Yeah, and no, and I will even sometimes when I take like a Daniels in May, like boy, sometimes lately it feels like quarterbacks, like some of these late quarterbacks are falling. Like a Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. We saw in the draft last night, Tua fell 40 spots. I didn't take him because I think I had me Daniels in that, and it just didn't work. But yeah, we're seeing some quarterback falls. Evening thoughts on Travion Henderson? Yeah, so to me, Henderson is maybe a little overpriced as ADP. I do think Stevenson will have a role, and even if for some reason he doesn't, I think Gibson could have a role. For as good as Josh McDaniels, I think it is for the Patriots as a whole, historically he's been very much a 2 RB guy. The one kind of exception was that one Josh Jacobs year with the Raider. I believe he was the coach then. So, you know, I want Henderson. I think the Patriots can be a lot better. I think May is going to step up the offense in general. The offensive line is better, not good, but better. And Henderson is just such an explosive weapon, can be utilized out of the backfield. The one concern is he might not have a major red zone role. So just for where he goes, I think he's a little high. No, here, DeAndre Swift went way up. But, you know, sandwich between guys like Montgomery, Caleb Johnson, Quentin Jenkins, I just think those guys are better options. You know, I think they're safer and have higher upside. I would probably, and Harvey went a little earlier. So Harvey at least has maybe kind of a similar thing, more explosive guy, smaller back, not the goal line guy. But his offense is much better. Broncos should be much better on offense. They have a much better offensive line. Henderson, obviously the higher draft capital. I want a good share of him, but I do think that odds are you're probably drafting him kind of around his peak. Like, I don't think he's going to end up being a top 10 running back or anything. I think he can be a very good fantasy back this year, but just I feel like we're kind of drafting him at his peak. Probably not going to get a lot of upside there. That being said, he's such an explosive guy. He could just be, you know, if he's still essentially paying off, then he might absolutely be the guy you still need just because he's going to have some big spike weeks. I'll make these picks and go back to chat. So, you know, early on, I was not taking a lot of Pacheco, but I will take Pacheco here. Little slight fall, which is nice because lately he has been being pushed up to the late 70s. There's some receivers or a tight end I could grab. Could take even fourth running back. Not sure. 1, 2, and receivers. I'll go. I'm going to go Hawkinson. Definitely need more Hawkinson. I also just have a tough time taking Mbuka where we're taking him unless we know for sure Godwin's like missing some time or something like that. Just not my favorite range for him. Like, we're kind of a clear third wide receiver in the 80s. Like other, you know, potentially third wide receivers we're taking in that range are guys who it's very ambiguous, like the order. And honestly, not many are going this high, but that's kind of my thought on it. Let's see, Mike Robb already got that second draft with likes. I think Steve can easily pull off 59. Yeah, we're going to try. The Michael Scoff thank you gift, I use that quite a bit. And, I think 3 quarterbacks just carries a lot of value. Am I going to do it 100% of the time? No. I'm probably 70 to 80% of the time because I think it helps you more than it hurts you. But I do think it depends on the build. We got our guy JT Bestball in here. What up? JT, another streamer, usually does late nights on his stream. Typically when I can, I join. I was in last night. I don't think we got in the same draft. I was, doing Chihuahuas but we were chatting some. So always fun conversation there. You pull up the board. Mego Sings is amazing. Yes, that would be amazing spread. We got our guy off the schneid, Cody, in here. How's it going? Speaking of great streamers, another great streamer, Cody. His channel off the schneid goes live a couple times a week. Always fun, good shows, and always enjoy talking ball with him. I was on his stream before the draft and did a couple combined drafts, one with PPR Tyler, one with Bindles, who was in earlier. Both were fantastic. I need to get him on. I need to reach out to him and get him on because I feel like anytime we're talking, good ball knowledge is happening. So Texas produces a lot of NFL players now, a lot of best ball winners. Yeah, well, I'm going to keep hoping that Virginia, where I'm from, has best ball winners as well, but I have no problem with Texas. And I think Tyler here at Emo would 100% agree with that. How's it going, Tyler? Good seeing you. Didn't get the chance to watch, but speaking of Crane, he had Crane on earlier on Fantasy Sanctuary. I need to catch up on that. That was, definitely one that I need to watch. There's a lot of good best ball knowledge going on there. Eddie says, what's up, Emo? Let's see, FK Coolers. Pat's defense projects to be pretty good too. Hopefully it translates to good running back usage. Yeah, they did invest a fair amount on defense, and of course have young elite corner and Christian Gonzalez, added more corner help, got the defense tackle from Philly. So no, their defense could be good, especially under a guy like Vrabel, who just no nonsense, type of guy. So it'll be interesting to see how good the Pats are this year, how quickly they can turn it around. I'm not saying I'm making this bet right now, but if somebody were to say who's an AFC team that missed the playoffs last year but going to go this year, I'd say the Patriots would be one of my favorite options. So coming up to my two picks. All right, Purdy goes, Cup goes. I'm going to take Justin Fields. Definitely could stop at 2 here. 2 elite upside quarterbacks. I typically, when I'm taking Fields, I don't have any correlation. Maybe I get Mason Taylor later. Already have Breece Hall. So we're making a bet on Washington, making a bet on Jets. Yeah, I like where this is at. My guy Scadaboo is sitting right there. I do think we're going to go receiver. I'm going to take the upside swing here in Shaheed. It's interesting. Of all the guys coming back from injuries, Shaheed probably has the best reports and looked the best. Like we saw a few videos of Stephon Diggs. We saw a ton of videos. These of you are really looking at the Saints and Shaheed looked very fast. People leave the stream if they heard me sing. She might be right. Green Bean, I love Travion, but that fantasy playoff schedule is brutal. And that's the other thing is, not a fun. If your team if you need to rely on him, fantasy playoffs could be a little dicier. Maybe sing during the 24-hour stream. Oh, Eddie coming up with some ideas. 5 sets of 47. Thanks, Steve. Thoughts on Mason Taylor? Yeah, so Mason Taylor, I believe after the 2 first-rounders, and he was the 3rd rookie taken, he is no real competition to start. I mean, it's Stone Smart and former Ohio State tight end whose name escapes me right now. It's Jeremy Ruckert. And so, I think it's Mason Taylor's job. And beyond Garrett Wilson, there's just not a lot of other threats there. I mean, Breece Hall will get his. I'm sure a second receiver will emerge, whether it's Reynolds or, Corley or whoever it is. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for Mason Taylor. The fact that his ADP hasn't shifted too much. You're typically getting him 16th, 17th round. I think that's a fine spot to bet on him, given his upside opportunity. The Jets will be one of the lower passing offenses, I believe, in the league. That's just always been the case with Justin Fields and kind of inefficient. But there should be enough for him to succeed. I think he's, though on the young side, he's essentially 3-year starter in the SEC at LSU, played in a lot of big games, obviously NFL bloodlines. I think he got better every single year. He still needs to be a better blocker, but it's good enough that I don't think it prevents him to being on the field. So, I'm kind of bullish on him. I have a decent percentage of him, and I think I'm going to continue. Obviously I want camp reports to fully back up my prediction, but I feel good about it. Yeah, fantasy football in Espanol. Yeah, I believe that's what it said. I'd have to double check exactly, but I'm just low down on Pacheco. Not that I think I think he's probably the starter, but there's at least depth there where if he struggles again, whether it's a combination of Hunt and Mitchell and Smith, I do think Smith takes more of a passing role this year. That it sounds like beat writers are supporting that notion. That makes sense given his background. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, I'm going to take Spears since I didn't take Pollard. So I still get a piece of that Tennessee rushing attack. And then if Hollywood's here, I will take Hollywood. So no wide receiver there. I think I don't know if you're suggesting when I took, I don't know if this goes all the way back to Pacheco Hawkinson. I would have taken, if either Judy or Reed came back to me, I would have taken them over Hawkinson. Maybe I played myself there, but I want to put, Pollard was here also. But I have a lot more Pollard than Pacheco, so I want to make sure I got Pacheco. And Buka, I just feel is overrated. I considered pulling up Pittman, but I already have a good chunk of Pittman, so I was fine taking Hawkinson. Some of that was just evening out exposures. I don't mind, like I said, like pulling up Pittman there. And I definitely would have taken those other receivers. But to me, I don't really take Mbuka here. I like Mbuka to fall into the mid to late 90s at least. I have him ranked about 100. Disbanded with the dog. Good seeing you. How's it going? I agree with you on the Pats, and their sportsbooks had their win total at 8.5. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like their defense should be improved, may look better, and he's just got so much support and just better coaching staff. I want it to be the Raiders. I assume the team making the playoffs, and I think that is bold, but there's also some path to it. I mean, they have some elite guys both on offense and defense. Crosby, Bowers, especially. Big quarterback upgrade. Big running back upgrade, big coaching staff upgrade. So I think there's a lot of hope. The tough thing that the Raiders have is that division is just nasty. I mean, you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and a pretty good Chiefs defense, and then Chiefs. This might be the best weapons Mahomes has had in years. Also even trading away Joe Tooney, I think their offensive line could be better this year if their rookie Simmons is ready and healthy, which sounds like he is. You have Denver, second year for Knicks, Sean Payton, another great coach, great offensive line, great defense, more weapons added this year. That's a tough one. Then you have Chargers, another great coach, Justin Herbert, a great young quarterback, more weapons added there. Defense probably takes a step back, but is very good last year. And I think their offense in the whole, though, takes a huge step up with improvements to the offensive line and then the weapons beyond just Ladd McConkey. So, yeah, that's the issue. If the Raiders were in the AFC East or something like that, I think it's just easier to steal a playoff spot there because, even if you're, let's say, in the AFC East like the Patriots, even if you lose your 2 games to the Bills, you could go 4-2 and just be in a good spot to win 5-6 other games and get into the playoff mix. But boy, it's going to be tough out west. That division to me, pound for pound, is the best. I think NFC North is very close. And we'll see what Ben Johnson does. with that team. All right, here, let's see. I'm going to take Austin Eckler. I said it last night. I love his value. Already having 2 week 10 guys, just also a correlation bet with Daniels. Austin Eckler in 12 games last year at 700 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, 30 some catches. I just think his role continues to be roughly the same. And it's a good fantasy role, you know, and the upside is to be even great if Brian Robinson Jr. struggles or misses time. So we're betting on this offense, get my first stack piece. Ideally, Ertz will come back to me. Wasn't going to pull him up there, and I like getting Pat Bryant here. Speaking of that Denver offense, I think Pat Bryant can make a strong case to be the number 2 on that team. And yeah, I'm pretty bullish on them. It's not chat, yeah. And that's a nice thing about this community is we have so many streamers helping everyone, checking everyone else's streams out. Yeah, as Meg says, so supportive. Eddie, yeah, I talked about this a little at the top. I did a little college best ball last year. I plan on doing some again. Probably will mainly do slows. I can't imagine it's going to fill. It's going to easily fill fast drafts. I do want to look at the schedule a little bit more. One difference with that is some of the playoff games, your playoff weeks are weeks where some teams are going to be on bye. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, like Oregon and a couple other teams, maybe Ohio State had a bye week during one of the playoff weeks. I can't remember which ones for sure, but multiple top tier teams were not playing those weeks. And I want to look at that, see about that. I think that could be an edge. But I'm definitely going to play something I like. I have to look what the format was last year, but I like the 3 of 12 and then the good playoff advance rates. So hopefully I do better this year. And yeah, I'll definitely dive into it some more. Yeah, we can talk about that more in future shows. Yeah, no, I figured that's what you said. And like I said, I was kind of guessing I'd get one of those 2 receivers back, Judy or Reed. You know, so I kind of guessed wrong there, but I wanted Pacheco, even though in general, and this is sometimes an issue with trying to manage your exposures. In general, I want Pollard more than Pacheco, but I have so much more Pollard than Pacheco. I wanted to balance it out. And I knew the only way I could do that is to guarantee Pacheco there. So that was probably my mistake. Would have absolutely preferred, instead of Hawkinson, gain a receiver with those 2 picks. Doing good. Glad to hear, man. Yeah, AFC West is brutal. Learn to swim. College football, basketball is actually when you want a mock draft. Yeah. All right, coming up in a couple picks. Ertz did go. That's unfortunate. Could go with my guy Gesicki. I like Otten, Mason Taylor. Could probably get him with the second of these picks. I mean, I'm probably set at running back. Though I might, if I only go 2 receivers, I might double tap tight end here, honestly. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. If I only go 2 quarterbacks, so Mason Taylor goes, but I would rather have Gesicki anyways. To me, I think you can obviously make a stronger case for Otten, even though it's a crowded team. It's just going to be great. It should be a great offense, like potentially 5,000 passing yards, potentially, 35. Even if they don't get the 40 touchdowns last year, 35 seems very likely. So that's definitely not one that I regret making that call. And yeah, I really like this tight end room. A lot of times with Hawkinson, I will stop at 2, but I feel like, particularly if I'm only going to do 2 quarterbacks, which if there's a falling value, I could change my mind on that, but I definitely need one more receiver, maybe two, maybe attack on a 6 running back since, Pacheco, Spears, Eckler. It's not like I went extreme at running back. There's only 2 guys in the top. They're early, but not like I got my 3rd guy in the top, 60 or anything like that. It's always room for Arian Smith. I don't know about that one. The Jets is, and that's the thing with Fields. I'm fine. And same with Jane Daniels. Like, I got Eckler. Obviously, had Ertz gotten back to me, that would have been my call, my pick. But it's not something I'm going to reach on. I'm not going to take, a Noah Brown. I mean, I take a little Noah Brown, but it's not like I'm going to force it if there's better values out there. It just doesn't matter the same for these rushing quarterbacks. And truly, I think you could say both. Like, Breece Hall and Austin Eckler could be the stacks that you need. So it was Hueems. I thought I saw him in here. How's it going, Hueems? Didn't get a chance to catch your stream earlier. Another one that I need to catch up on. Been a busy day. Can 2 quarterback teams survive with the same bye? Pre-drafted, Daniels and Nick. So pre-draft, I'll say, is a little different, just because you're going to have more and more of those types of things. I mean, if somebody who took like Hurts and Fields or Hurts and Mayfield, same situation. So if the rest of the team is really strong in pre-draft, I think you're fine. I think in regular, you can still survive it. But I think it's harder because you're not going to have as many teams, with duds. Ideally, in your pre-draft, there's some other duds, other teams. Even if it's not a quarterback, maybe they took, players who they were just way off on. Took like a Io Manor, and he's not, really a factor or something like that. Let me grab receiver first. We'll go 2-2. I think 2-2 is one of the best picks in this range. Not sure what I want to do. Daniel Jones. So there is a starting quarterback out there. Potentially 2 of them. Don't need a running back. Yeah, I just think from a value standpoint, I'll take a 3rd rushing quarterback with upside. It's unstacked. And of course, hindsight, I probably wish I would go back and pulled up Pittman versus Hawkinson, but I'm fine with it. I don't mind it. I think 3 quarterbacks helps you advance, and there's more value there, and also covers not even injuries in the postseason, but if Daniels or Fields, and Fields has never played a full season, let's keep that in mind. There can just be some extra value to help carry me through. College football is too much for my brain to think about, even though I like college football and NFL. Yeah, it's definitely tougher because they limit, I think it was, I'd have to look. Again, I haven't looked at it too much. I just saw the advance rates and the prize pool. But I feel like last year was limited to, just some of the power conferences and maybe like Notre Dame and a couple other schools. I do need to double check on all that. But it's just a lot more teams, even if you're talking 3 conferences, Big Ten, ACC, and SEC, that's more teams than there are in the NFL. So, and it's considerably more than that. So, yeah, that is something. And cheat sheet for the college football bye weeks is 100% true. College football is a perfect contest for people who like to push quarterback because that position is rough. Eddie just got home. I have 2 quarterbacks survive in Superflex. I think 2 quarterbacks can survive in Superflex if they're 2 elites or 2 high guys at different buys. But it is tougher. I mean, Superflex, you're trying to win two positions, and anytime you're not getting those two positions filled by two quarterbacks, you're probably costing yourself some points. So, can you still advance? Yeah, for sure. And if you advance, then you can be live with just those two guys, if those two guys going to run. So we will do another draft. Let me just do a quick little recap of this. I went Nico Achane, Brees Hall, Jaden Daniels, Travis Hunter, Dunze, Isaiah Pacheco, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Fields, Rashid Shaheed, Tajay Spears, Hollywood Brown, Austin Eckler, Pat Bryant, double tap tight end here, Gesicki and Kate Otten. Then finish it out with Tutu and Daniel Jones. By no means my favorite draft, but I think it's very, obviously you should get a ton of quarterback points. Running back, top heavy, but at least there's some guys who I think can be usable. Spears is maybe a bit more contingent value, but at least we know it's kind of like the poor man Zach Charbonnet. If he plays, he can be effective. Wide receiver, top three start out pretty well. Shaheed and Hollywood can be pretty useful, I feel like. And then Pat Bryant could be number two on a good offense. So that's hopeful. And then Tutu, spike week, deep threat guy on which should be a pretty good offense. And then tight end, pretty decent overall investment in them. But yeah, three starters and three really good offenses. So I think I'm going to do really well at the tight end position, do really well at the quarterback position. Receiver, it depends on this mid-tier guys. And obviously relying on some young guys like Hunter and Dunze. I maybe could have added an eighth guy there over Daniel Jones. And, that might have been where I need to go. I think my biggest concern is, as I talked before, I like my teams the best when my running backs in the flex. Can Pacheco, Spears, Eckler handle that enough? I think that's going to be the big question mark for this team. If not, then I really need these receivers to get big. As for, didn't have all the week 17 correlation, of course, with Daniels and Fields, missed on those, but got some minis and things of that nature, like, like Hollywood and Pat Bryant and a few things like that. So Kate Otten to go with the chain, those little things. Will that make a big difference? We'll see. I hope this team's still alive in week 17. So let's see what is everyone feeling like. I could do a BBM. Probably not going to do an eliminator. I'd be interested in a marathon or sprint. I do have the corgi. Anyone hasn't done theirs yet, I'm happy to do that on stream. Let me know in the chat what everyone's feeling among those four tournaments: BBM, marathon, sprint, corgi. Let me catch up with the chat for a second. College football, the idea, it does seem like it a lot. I think if you know college football, you could definitely have a high advance rate and make some money. Yeah, I will say I did not put near enough time into it, and was that I had a solid advance rate. I just didn't get any teams like through to the finals. So I want to look at it a bit more. What if you love Squirrel Right? Because that's a great name. Yeah, if you like that last year, definitely didn't pay off. But let's see. We got Peanut Punch. Good seeing you in here saying Sprinter BBM. We got Disbanded saying I'm cool with the corgi. So we got a couple different votes. I'll give people another minute or so. Let me know what you're feeling. I'm happy to look at one. I mean, I can test out the sprint and see where we're at, because that might take a little while to fill. I got Best Ball Q saying corgi as well. I'm happy to do it if people want in. We got on real time marathon, so we got a lot of different. And I love everyone, saying what they want. I appreciate that. Really do. Really appreciate everyone for the likes, for watching. commenting, everything else, subbing to the Fanspeak Network. We really appreciate all of you. Unless anyone else really pushes for anything, we got Randy with the BBM. So kind of 2 votes for BBM, 2 votes for Corgi. We're having a battle here. Let me, not BBM 6. All right, so maybe I'll do BBM 6. I think I'll do the 30 seconds, just have a bit more time. We'll see how it feels. Yeah, let me do a BBM 6. That's also typically what Andrew and Justin would be doing tonight, so might as well do that as well. We'll do a BBM 6. Is everyone good with the 30-second? Let me know. Got Charles in here. Steve's the GOAT. Appreciate that, Charles. Who Hames Puppy 2? Yeah, you let me know when that's out, and I'll be ripping them, especially when it's Super Flex Puppy 2. But I know for some people they would hate hearing that. But hopefully we get that soon as well. Corgi, yeah. I think I'm going to do the BBM first. Maybe I'll do a Corgi on top. I'll do the 30 seconds just also to make it easier for people to jump in. Hopefully we can fill it. If it doesn't fill right away, if it takes a few minutes, I'll let you know. I'll jump out. But I will try to do the BBM 30 seconds. I will count down. Let me know if everyone's ready. I will count down in a second. One last comment. JT Smash It. Who and I drafted one I like today on his channel. Nice. And got Kramer in here. Steven's my biggest opponent in Drafter Pass. Shaking my head. Sorry about that, Kramer. And if you missed it, Bigelow will be on tomorrow to talk about Drafter Pass. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, you could always watch it back later. All right, we will do 30 seconds. I will count down starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are entering, let's hope. Oh, this one. Hopefully this is you guys jumping in because we got it snap filling. We did get some of you. You get Peanut Punch. Looks like Eddie got in. Incredible. FK Coolers. Looks like that's everyone I know. Anyone else in here, please let me know. And thank you again for everyone for jumping in. It was a weird build, but it worked. 2862. Was that a BBM, guys? Who Ames and JT? Eddie, yes. Finally, we timed it up, and I got worried. I did the 30-second thinking it'd be easier, but I jump in and it snap fills. So glad some of you guys are able to make it in for sure. All right, I got the 3 spot. I'm probably taking one of these 4. I mean, you can make the case for Lamb as well. In fact, a lot of times I have Lamb above Jefferson, but right now so much more Lamb than Jefferson that I want to start taking Jefferson some more. And you know what? I will do it. So let me go to the board as our guys are back to back to back. Peanut Punch, Eddie, and FK Coolers are all right there. Good luck to everyone as well. Appreciate it. New Hames, yeah, BBM 6. Wide receiver start, nice. Missed it, but was in, yeah. No, we did multiple ones yesterday, but sorry you couldn't make it in this one, B. Grandy. So yeah, it's been, I know we did a BBM early last week. I think on Chad Candle's stream. So it's been kind of maybe almost a week since I've done a BBM. I'm at 30. So this will be 31. I still not sure if I'm going to max it. As much as I like it, those advance rates are tough. Do I want the $2 million? Absolutely. But, when you have a pit bull and for a little less, you can get 100K at much better advance rates. I like those kind of tournaments quite a bit. And also, I am a fan of things like the marathon and sprint. I think those are generally better ROI, depending on how you look at it. So I'm sure I'll do more than I did last year. I did 57 last year, or 59. But probably not going to max BBM, but we'll see. I don't have hardly any lamps. Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, somebody asked me last night, am I out on any of the first rounders? This first round had Derrick Henry pulled up. Honestly, no. I'm kind of a little lower on Jefferson in the front, a little lower on a Monra at the back half. But no, I went none. I'm not fading any of these first rounders. There's some second round guys that I'm less on. I have very little AJ Brown right now. Was able to balance it out a little bit better in the Superflex just because he was easy to stack some with Hurts. But I think AJ Brown's a little rich, particularly when he goes on this half of the second round. I think you can make strong cases for guys like Higgins, Rice, now Tyreek with the Jonnu trade above AJ Brown. So we are on the clock. Jefferson. I will go Rice. Don't have a ton of Rice. Wasn't taking him the first couple of weeks of the tournament, and then he flew up boards. He's fine here. I think you can make the case that he's going a little too high for sure. So I'm not going to take a ton of them, but I want a solid percentage. Got our guy Chad Candles in chat. Good seeing you, Chad. Another, he's the king of the morning streams. If you want to stream best ball in the morning, particularly if you're on the East Coast, because that's his time zone, he is the channel to go to. He does such a great job. Got Chris in here. Yeah, I stopped at 69 BBMs last year. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely tough to max, and it's just, I know Huheem just talked about it. Like, I don't think he's coming anywhere close to maxing. It's like that money, you could max some of these other tournaments, and oh boy, let's see here. Go Higgins. I like this start to the wide receiver room. And that is true. He never picked in the top four. AJ Brown was tough to stack. I did not have that problem. I'm at 33 right now. We'll probably cap at 100. Nice. So did you max your Chihuahuas, Chad, or were you able to, were you still missing a couple? Only 9, I'm doing like 25, 30. Yeah, and I know you've talked about before, and we talked about a little bit. It's like, regardless of the tournament, whether it's, last year, and we'll see, and I was going to talk about this earlier, like, when is the puppy 2 coming? That, everyone jokes about it, but it's true. Last year, the second puppy, and we're not counting Superflex puppy, last year's second puppy was sometime mid-late June. I know the slow and fast puppies were at the same time in late July, and then I think the puppy 3 was early August, if I remember correctly. And so that was 5 regular puppies, I think all roughly the same size. I don't think maybe the slow puppy was a little smaller. But regardless, you could, for the price of the BBM, you could max all 5 of those puppies. So And I get what everyone wants. I think there should be some sort of balance. I think anyone who's playing at volume should want some stake in the BBM, just because you can go on that fun run and just have a great, tremendous sweat. But it's no doubt harder. And I do recommend the other tournaments. Like, I did the math the other day, not counting the puppy and not counting Superflex, just all the other main tournaments, including these single entries. You could have gotten in all of them for a little over $800, maybe like $820, something like that. And it's like it'd be like 140 entries or something like that. And that includes like the $35 Greyhound. That includes the $10, $20 pit bulls. So, it's just a way to look at it. Like, you can get a lot of tournaments with a lot better advance rates, still some good prizes at a reasonable rate. Max the BBM last year, no finals, did about 50 sprint and did great. Pulling in BBMs this year. Yeah, no, I feel that, Peanut. Punch, like, it's tough. Like, I want to say I did 57 BBMs last year. I had a 31% advance rate, so it was like 18 teams to the playoffs, 18 or 19. I got 2 to the semifinals, and just nothing got home. And sure, maybe if I'd maxed it and I kept that same advance rate, I would have had more semifinals teams and maybe one gets home. But it's just, the odds are not in your favor. And that's with having a great advance rate, like 31%, I believe it was. So, it's tough. And so I think everyone should do whatever they feel is in their budget and what they want. But that's why I like Underdog to keep pushing out these tournaments. And done maybe not as good of a job of last year, but a good job overall. I mean, we've gotten, the Poodle, the Pug, Hound Dog, all these, all these other first version of the dog breeds, and the second large mini Schnauzer. The Schnauzers last year were much smaller tournaments. But hopefully there's just more and more opportunities coming. Three short, that's tough. That is tough. I mean, me, I don't mind slow. So I made sure to max, was doing a couple fast last night and had like 1 or 2 left, and I just put them in as slows. Roughly half of mine were slows. I think I did 12 or 13 fast and whatever the other side in slow. Coming up on a pick. And no running backs here. Interesting. It's not a good area for running back. Hampton gets pulled up. See what Peanut does. All right, I will take Kittle. This is a little fall in his ADP. Definitely going more the 0 RB, which is atypical for me. But, we did some last night and it worked out well. The max 4 puppy. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my MLB best balls. Yeah. I haven't checked this week to see where I'm at for MLB best ball. I was like kind of right at like 18%, 20% last week. But that was early last week, so I need to check again. It's not one day. I check all the time. I do know got a couple more weeks until the playoffs, so it'd be nice to get some money back and see if we can get a sweat going there. All right. So turn does go Jalen Hurts. I was considering taking a quarterback there. I won't keep going the 0 RB. We'll take Mixon. I'm higher on Mixon. I know he's kind of been dealing with a minor injury. It doesn't worry me too much. A long time until we get to the season. I think the offensive line and the offense should be better as a whole. I don't worry about Nick Chubb too much. But, This is the decision making between like him and Chuba and some of these guys. Chris, yeah, some of my dinger sweats are non-existent. Yeah, it's been a rough year in baseball. It feels like on real time. If you don't have at least 15 slows going, you're doing this wrong. Yeah, well, I am well above 15. Definitely not. At one point, I was like over 120 slows. But for instance, like the 16, last week's 4 eliminator, 4 weekly winners, et cetera, et cetera. I did most of those slow. Probably like 12 of those were slow among the various tournaments. So yeah, but I have probably about 60 slows going right now. I did 13 dingers, 0 DM baseball, and 2 advancing currently. The ranks I downloaded had a bunch of injured players. I remember you talking about those ranks not being your favorite. Yeah, pitcher injuries have been rough this year. Yeah, I think you're right. 3 weeks to go in the dinger. Because I did the little eliminator, not the big one, and I think I have 11 teams still going in that made it to the money. No, 11's too high. And 9. I think it ended up being 9. Didn't max it, but not the greatest rate. But hopefully a couple of those last a few weeks and make some more money and have a sweat. I did like 20 of them last year, and I had one make it to the semifinals last year in the baseball little eliminator. So hopefully for a repeat of that. And it's not like this year's football eliminator. It's like last year's football eliminator style. From a business perspective, being able to say would do wonders for channel growth. Chicks take the long ball. Paul, I 100% agree with. And no, I mean, I thought about that. That's a lot of upside there. Honestly, just a high finals finish would be in the BBM matters a lot. So no, and that's, again, I want to have a sweat. I kind of like, and I know they took, instead of it being $35 for making the playoffs, it's back down to $25. And put a lot of that money and some others in the regular season prize pool. I'm glad there's a regular season prize pool. I think it rewards good drafting, and so I'm happy with that. I would have had 3 teams last year that would have made the money, but nothing crazy. So, but I do like just having different outs to be really profitable on it. I'm pretty sure FK is right. Yeah, 3 weeks left in the regular season, and then you have playoff weeks. And then the playoff weeks, each one's like 2 weeks. So that's why it can be a little confusing. We are up in a few picks. We got our guys here. FK just making the pick, taking Chris Godwin, Eddie, and then Peanut Punch. I'll be back on the clock. Let's see what we're looking at here. So I did not get the Burrow fall. I was hoping for a Burrow fall. Didn't get it. It's all good. We will take Caleb Johnson here. And that it did not fill. So there are going to be some wild card spots for baseball, which is nice. Tim, we got our guy Tim in chat. Can't wait for the 24-hour live stream. Yeah, well, we're working out. We're almost at 700 subscribers, YouTube subscribers. When we get to 1,000, we will do a 24-hour live stream. Again, hoping we can keep pushing there. Basketball injuries too. So many blown Achilles. Yeah. And Reflect the Sun, thank you for joining the chat. Yeah, weird year for basketball. I've seen some speculation as to why, different kinds of things and training, but I'm not sure if I'm buying it. I'm going to go here. Ricky Pearsall, correlated with George Kittle. I really like San Francisco. They have incredibly easy schedule. I think Pearsall is just in line for a big breakout year. Do not take balls. But back to Reflect the Sun's point. Yeah, I didn't play any basketball, baseball this year. I've done it in the past. Would make the playoffs, but just didn't have time to invest this year. Um, I'm hopefully you're wrong about the NFL having more Achilles injuries this year. Yeah, no, the over 30, that's a risk. And look, I took it with Joe Mixon, that 2017 elite running back class, elite group, McCaffrey, Mixon, Connor, Kamara, Aaron Jones, um, Austin Eckler was a free agent. Feel like I'm missing somebody else who gets drafted pretty high. I think I said Connor and Kamara. But anyways, those guys are all getting up there, and Derrick Henry as well. Not just the running back group, but we have a lot of still good veteran receivers. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, and who Hames talks about it over under half an Achilles injury at MetLife. Yes, I would probably take the over, just given history there. Ricky Pearsall got shot and had a good year. Yeah, he really came back well, and not just from like you just watched him run routes, the way he plays, he gets open. I just think he and Purdy are going to grow. I think he fits kind of how they like to run their offense through, like, in the middle of the field. Guys like Debo and Kittle, I think, always pair better with Purdy than, say, even a guy like Ayuk. And of course, with Ayuk's injury situation, I'm going to bet on Pearsall. So let's see. Chris just checked 450 dingers. Yeah, it's been a tough year. I need to check on mine. 24-hour live stream would be fun to see who gets short overnight and early morning. I'm guessing I'm going to take a lot of that. Yeah, Strider, Raylo, high sound string pitchers. Yeah, Strider, that was a tough one because there was like mixed view on like when he'd be back and all that. In San Francisco. Yeah. No, there's a lot of options in San Francisco, but they're good options. And I agree with Hames. Like, I definitely want some Juwan Jennings, but I think, one, he competes more directly with Ayuk. I think Pearsall's role probably safer. And again, we're talking a first-round young rookie coming into year 2 versus Juwan Jennings, who is fine and showed last year that he could play, but he's 30, or he, whatever his age is. Like, I'm going to bet way more in Pearsall, especially since it's like 12 picks late, like a round difference. See some research too about repeat COVID infections after COVID and statistically significant. No, and I don't know if you're making this point, trying to make this point correlated with injuries. Like, there is, I remember, goes back when, but I remember I talked to a sports orthopedic surgeon. He used to work for the Rams after the RG3, after he tore his ACL in that playoff game. And he had sprained it earlier in the year and then completely tore in the playoff game. And he had had a previous ACL injury in his past. And we talked, and I remember him saying the rates are very high for re-injury, not just that leg, but the other leg. And I think people sometimes, let me make my pick. Right, I will take the fall on Brian Robinson. I'm absolutely lower on Robinson this year, but I will take a fall. Definitely don't want Ayuk. And if he doesn't go, I would just pull up Purdy a couple spots to 99. I like that. But no, I think people with these, whether they're Achilles, ACLs, things like that nature, not only is it causing strain on that repaired ligament, but your other leg, your other ACL or MCL, or your ligaments in your knee and the other knee are being strained more because you're just naturally relying on it more. So they see not just the re-injury risk, but the injury risk to the other leg is very high within the first 5 years as well. So I do remember that kind of research, and pretty, yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's up there. So just always something to keep in mind with these guys coming back from injury. I have a very even build right now. Not sure if I like or dislike. Tuheem's asking, FK in the MLB streets. Sounds like it. Affecting the Achilles. Interesting. Huh. And wonder if that's just something about the body not being weaker, but that's very interesting. J Lives, let me bring up the board as I get back to chat. Your advance rate was awesome. Do you blend a lot of rookies with vets for late season run? I typically try and, I think it depends. Like last year, I loved the rookie receiver class. I loved the rookie quarterback class. So I was taking a lot of them. I did not love the rookie tight end class. I'm a Washington fan, and when he was drafted, throughout the entire time, I was like, Ben Sinnott is not it. Like, I think he was overdrafted, particularly from a fantasy perspective. I would sprinkle in a little like Theo Johnson, just because I thought he had a little bit clearer of a path to start. But I took Bowers and basically had among tight ends. Running backs, I wasn't taking any Jonathan Brooks. I wasn't taking any once they got drafted to those locations. Benson and Quorum. Benson was like my highest pre-draft running back, and then I hated where he went. So to me, it kind of depends on the situation and what the strength of the class is. I took some Bucky and Tracy, in post-draft. Took a few shots on a few other, but I wasn't taking Vidal either. Like, I just didn't believe that Vidal would be a starter, would start over Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So a lot depends on the situation. So it's, and if I think the talent is there. Excuse me. So I do like to mix in rookies, but I need to see them at value. Like, I was taking a lot of, I was on Bo Nix starting pretty early last year. I was on May having a significant run, and I would take May a lot. And since he could go so cheap, even though I knew he wasn't going to start the year, thought he would end the year. So to answer your question, it just depends. Like this year, I'm taking a lot more rookie running backs. There's some rookie receivers I like, but like, I'm not sure if you heard in the previous draft, I had a chance to take Mbuga at like 88, and I just don't like him there. I don't like that value there. So I passed on it. And while I love Mbuga as a prospect, I just don't love the third wide receiver at 88. So I know that's a long-winded answer to your question, but hopefully that's what you're looking for. Yeah, Pearsall, yeah, and exactly that. That should be a fun Week 17 matchup, as their schedule throughout the year just looks so good. So we'll look at the other teams in here in a little bit. Coming up in a couple of picks. Got FK on the clock right now. Big hawk fall. That is nice. I'm more bullish on him than a lot of tight ends. So it's nice if you got it. Entirely loving this area of the board. Let's see what comes back to me. I will take Bateman. Definitely starts to be a tier break at receiver at this point. We'll see what I Taking a couple picks. Could take Njoku and be done. Might just pull up. Not even really pull up. He'd be right at ADP. McCarthy. That's probably where I'm going to go. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that seems like where I'm going to go. All right, let me go back to chat. I have some guy named Grayson Rodriguez in both my advanced teams who is supposed to be playing soon. Is he good? And I think I saw somebody answer, and yeah, Tim, I saw that. Rest in peace, Bobby Jenks. I didn't read the whole story, but yeah, former White Sox pitcher. Grayson Rodriguez is a pitcher who has always flashed good stuff and potential, but keeps, yes, and that's one of the reasons why I'm struggling. I'm big Grayson Rodriguez fan. Sinnott guilty here. Yeah. Sorry. No, I know so many people would push Sinnott, and I just didn't get it last year. And FK back to Grayson Rodriguez. Yeah, he's big time K upside. Big time, he's could be a very good number 2 pitcher in the league. Thanks for the insight. I appreciate that, Jayla. I was always happy to talk ball. That's what I love doing. That's what this show's about. And I know I keep saying it. Do need to start getting guests on. A lot of times these are just impromptu shows. That's part of the issue. Like I literally decided to do the show at like 3 today. So league winning upside. Yeah, no, FK or who names I think so. Yeah, and FK's are in agreement. So, I'm still out on Sinnott. I'm still much more of an Ertz believer. He looked fully healthy. He did leave 2 games early last year. Those were kind of the 2 games that Sinnott got a few snaps, but his name escapes me right now. But Sinnott's not even their number 2 tight end. Like if Ertz is out, I think he would play a decent amount. But their number 2 tight end, former Boise State tight end, 4th rounder from a few years ago, Bates. He is going to play I think the second most tight end snaps. Sure, a lot of that is going to be in rushing plays, but he'll get, probably get as many targets as Sinnott. Hard to pass on Hawk. Ooh, that's nice. I'll have to look. Let me see. It did say it's going to look. So wait, FK get Hawk. Yeah. Oh yeah, 102. That is a very nice fall. FK Bucky early, but then a heavy receiver start and hitting the other positions. Back Trey Harris gets Herbie for another stack there. Eddie, CD, Lamb, double tapping running back, then back to receiver, back to running back. Laporta for some team correlation. Higgins gets the Dak stack, gets Marvin Mims. Then we got Peanut Punch. Saquon gets Bowers to fall back here, which is where I like him. We talked about it on the last draft, pulling up Josh Allen with Saquon correlation, week 17 correlation. And not just for week 17, we're talking about getting a key component from 2 of the elite offenses in the league. And truly, look at Hurts and Allen almost as running backs. I mean, these guys are getting double-digit touchdowns rushing. They're maybe not getting 1,000 yards rushing, but they're getting 600, 700, 800 yards rushing, 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns. I'd take that from any running back. Maybe not that high. Obviously, the passing is what separates them, but you're just getting 2 major touchdown weapons in Barkley and Allen. I love that. Getting some Allen stacks later. Tyler Warren, yeah, just good, strong teams. More Philly correlation there. Yeah, very fun. I saw the DK Judy correlation as well. Let's see here. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Rashard White. think White is one of the best secondary backs. Not only do I think he's got some contingent value if Bucky were to miss any time, his role will grow. But I think he's got plenty of standalone value. Very similar to what I talked about Austin Eckler, just younger and probably more total contingent value. And you don't pay it too high of a price for it. I really think, if White does anything near what he did last year, he's such a value at this pick. Even if he does 80% of what he did last year, massive value at this pick. I'll take my guy Cedric Tillman. He's been moving up, but I think he should. I think 13th round is a good area for him. And gives me another, my sixth receiver. But, with Kittle, I might only do 2 tight end. All right, let me go to the board and catch up with Chad. I know I've gotten a little behind. These are awesome, super informative shows. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys are liking them. I'm enjoying doing them, and I enjoy talking. 50 effing likes. Appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know, Mike. Appreciate the compliment here. Great job, Steve. Chatting and all the streaming community jumping in. Yeah, really appreciate everyone. Can you guys name the 2015 backfield for the Vikings? Doesn't have to be in order. 2015. It's a good question. I don't know if Peterson was still there or not. I'm trying to remember when he went to the Saints. And it's before Dalvin Cook. So I'm at a loss. Did a DK Millie this weekend. One drafter was the Group 50. Not sure if BBM winner. Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm guessing he's in everything, pretty much everything. So I can't imagine somebody else stole his name. That had to be AP and McKinnon. Oh, McKinnon. Yes, McKinnon was probably drafted in 15. Yeah. Yeah, 2012 AP was awesome. Yep, same McKinnon that eventually was on the Chiefs. It's a great pool. JT Best Ball. I was just telling somebody today, I think Tillman is a good click where he goes as a later receiver with potential upside. Yeah. And, I've said this before. Matt Harmon tweeted about Tillman a couple weeks ago. And at the time, and I said this, is we're treating this like a situation almost kind of like a little different, but kind of like DK Metcalf is the clear elite number one. And then anyone else there is a nobody, like Calvin Austin. The reality is, after Amari Cooper got traded for about 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks, Tillman saw an extended role. Judy's role was kind of the same and grew a little bit after the trade, and then going to Winston. But Tillman really saw growth. And for those like 4 or 5 weeks, Tillman was better in total production, better in targets, better in yards per route run, targets per route run, pretty much every stat. And some were very close, don't get me wrong. But this could be much more closer to a 1A, 1B situation. You could say like Jennings Pearsall, you could say like Downs and Pittman. And there's just such this massive ADP gap between the two. And that I just don't get. And that's why I don't have a ton of Judy. Because the way I look at it is, even if the Cleveland offense is terrible, the quarterback situation ends up terrible, invest in a 13th round pick or a 14th round pick at some point. At one point, he was going, and Tillman is well worth the risk. It's probably not going to bite you to do so. All right, let's see. Coming up here. Well, fall on Stafford. That's always interesting. I need I want a third quarterback in this build. I'm going to take Roshan, though. I want a piece of him. Both my running backs need a little help. Didn't love the start. Reflect the Sun. Thank you. Second that, great info, Steve. Appreciate that. Glad you're enjoying it. AP went to the Saints. Yeah, he was traded to the Saints. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was 2017. And Kamara broke out also. So it was like AP did nothing with the Saints. If you can pull that off, yeah. And then Tillman then gets hurt, and Judy just fully ascends. But why can't it be more balanced? No, McKinnon was a fun player for sure. All right, I'm back on the clock. I was kind of hoping Gesicki. You know what? I don't love anything here. I'm just going to pull up Darnold. Darnold can be a fun third quarterback. I have some back stacking options. No other real stacking options are here. I'm not taking the Cleveland quarterback. So yeah, I'm going to do that. That was one. I kind of looked at it. I was hoping one of Thielen, Stafford, or Gesicki would get back to me. They all don't. But I'm okay. I'll pull up Darnold. Go back to the board, and we will go back to chat. Yes, they have so many quarterback options. We probably get decent play from whoever wins the job. I don't know if we'll get decent play. That's hopeful. I think Flacco will get decent play. But I just don't know if Flacco's going to have the job the whole year. If they're not competitive, I think they're going to turn to a young guy, whether it's Pickett or one of the rookies. At that point, then I get worried. But at that point, for a 13th round pick, if Tillman just helped me get to the playoffs, even if he's not a good option in the playoffs, I'm okay with it. My quarterbacks keep getting taken. That can be tough. Dak and Rodgers, not a fun quarterback room. We can get decent. I didn't see it. That's true. 52 likes, 52, impressive. Thank you. Appreciate that, Fancy Dog. Good seeing you. Appreciate that. Always appreciate you jumping in chat. Reminding everyone to hit the like button, letting us know where the like's at. That helps me. For those who don't know streaming, I don't see that side of YouTube. I'd have to open up another page. So that just makes it easier for me to see where we're at from likes and all that. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. So let's see here. We are coming up to the 16th round. I kind of passed a tight end there. I'm going to get a second one. By not getting one of that Gesicki, Ertz range, I might go 3 tight ends. Typically with Kittle, I'm only going 2. I feel I'm pretty strong at receiver. Obviously the first 3 elites. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is good value. Bateman, I think, is a fun play. I think we're getting some value on him still. Tillman, like I just talked about, getting value there. So taking the 7th, but that might be the last round. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining and chatting. Really enjoying the conversation. Fancy Dog shouting out everyone. Yeah, it's been a fun chat, fun conversation with everyone. So just to remind everyone, tomorrow I will be going live at 1 with Bigelow Fantasy, talking about draft or pass. We're probably going to do a draft together. Should be a really good conversation. Really love, his website and that he created. So definitely a lot of fun. Recommend anyone signing up. It's free to sign up, free to upload your teams. You can also upload not just your regular contests. You can upload your pre-draft. You can upload your Superflex, your Eliminator. Marathon down the board. You can upload, I believe, everything, and then you're competing in all those different categories. Leo Longoria, thoughts on Stroud having a bounce back year and which rookie receiver you like there? I think Stroud can definitely have a bounce back year. I don't think he'll, bounce back. Last year he was going as like quarterback 5 or 6 for a good chunk of it. And I am on the clock. I should pay attention to that. The downside of streaming. I'm going to take Freiermuth. I've talked about him before. Boy, tight end really dried up. I think Freiermuth can absolutely pay off his ADP. I think he could still be a top 20 tight end, particularly when I'm just looking for fill-in for Kittle and the floor. Maybe I take a third tight end. We'll see where we're at in a second. 2 more picks to go. Definitely one receiver. Some guys here I like. But I might take a running back because there's some guys there I like, and I did wait at running back. All right, I'm going to take Jarquez Hunter. Fun spike week, elite athlete type guy, or very good athlete type guy. To balance Kyron Williams. He could get there in a few runs in a particular game. So, I want something I generally prefer like Rashard Smith. But I want some Hunter for sure. Let me go back to the chat. So, yeah, I don't think Stroud, sorry to have to not stop my answer, but I don't think Stroud ends up being his like quarterback 5 or 6, but I think he can be a top 10 quarterback, top 12 quarterback for sure, which would give you very good value on where he's going right now. Among the rookie receivers there, I prefer Higgins. I know there was a push for his college teammate, now pro teammate, Jalen Noel. And I think Noel's a good player, but I think Noel is kind of very similar to Christian Kirk, so there's more direct competition in camp. And maybe Noel ends up with that job at the end of the year, but Kirk could push him at least early. I think Higgins, he can play inside, he can play outside, big frame, could really be a nice red zone weapon. Obviously, Nico's the guy there, but if Stroud ends up with a big year and throws 25, 30, 35 touchdowns, something like that, I think Higgins is really going to be a beneficiary. Wouldn't be surprised me at all if he's number 2 on the team in yards, targets, catches, and touchdowns. So that's definitely the rookie for fantasy I'm looking at this year. I mean, maybe going forward, Noel carves out a bigger role as more of a deeper threat. But that's where I'm at right now. Bateman was a first rounder. Always thought he was second round. Yeah, no, he was a first rounder out of Minnesota. My opponent in Ball Jeopardy, I'm sure, is a big fan of Minnesota's finest, Rashard Bateman. I'm playing Neil Orfield this weekend in Jeopardy. One of us will come away in advance. Hopefully it's me, but should be a good show. Real looking forward to facing off versus Neil this week. But yeah, Bateman's the first rounder. He's just dealt with injury after injury. Finally healthy last year. Really showed what he could do. He had like 50 less targets than Zay Flowers, 45, 50 less targets than Zay Flowers, had double the touchdowns, roughly. So that's why I like investing in Bateman at cost. Been taking too much Gabriel and Fannin and Superflex. Yeah, I would take Flacco some. I took Pickett some. I definitely didn't really take Shador and Superflex. I took Gabriel once or twice. I just worry that Flacco will play, and then it's not going to surprise me if it's Kenny Pickett, which I know does not sound fun. Spread and Tyler get the day off. No, they are going to do a show tomorrow afternoon, but wanted to do a show with Big Love tomorrow. Get the word out for his website. Definitely do a draft or two as well. So doing an early afternoon draft before their show. And then on Wednesday, because Andrew's out on vacation after Jeopardy, so win or lose, I'm doing a show that night. So hopefully I'll be in good spirits with the win. If not, I might spend the entire time lamenting every question that I missed. So we'll see. Yep, number 3 receiver firm. Yeah, I mean, I really think he could be. I'm about to be back on the clock, so let me shift back over here. Wow, seeing Dylan Gabriel go in a regular draft is interesting. Maybe as somebody who saw your comment. And Superflex is defensible. In a regular draft, I don't know if I can get behind that. Did MVS go? Well, if so, yeah, he did. So I will just take Darius Slayton. Well, I didn't get a stack for my quarterback, my third quarterback, but that's all right. Where did MVS go? Uh, 18-1. That's definitely pretty early for him outside of when I do it. So we're about to finish up here. I'll review the teams real quick. How's everyone feeling? Should I do a third draft tonight? Fancy Dog, how's the draft going? Yep. Everyone likes Hunter. Researching now. Oh, DK shows Thursday this week. Oh, there we go. Okay. I didn't realize. See, it's getting mixed up on me. Yeah, Thornton moving up 20 spots. I'm not sure if I'm buying that yet. Bateman and Pierce, Indy were touchdown machines per target. Yeah, very good deep threats. Bateman also, I brought up his lack of targets versus Flowers. Him and Zay had the exact same number of red zone targets. So despite having 40 less total targets, they had the same number of red zone targets. Don't forget NWI in Miami. That was another spike week guy. Peanut Punch wants to do another draft. My quarterbacks can even average 10 points a week. I'll be happy. Let me finish catching up with Chad, and then I'll look at the drafts real quick. And then I think I'll do another one. Wednesday, Steve's going to get protected versus Colorado. Wait, that's the senior citizen, Neil. Manifest that victory, Steve. I appreciate the support, man. Me and my running backs to be healthy. Let me do a quick look at what everyone did. But I do want to get another draft, so it won't take too long. Go to Peanut Punch first. 2682. Alan, Gino, Barkley, Quinchon, Ray Davis, Eckler, Sampson, Anangai. So, taking the depth approach there with only 2 kind of clear starters, but then 2 usable guys and then 2 upside rookies. DK, Devonta, Judy, Pittman, Coleman, QJ, McMillan, Noel. So, first 4 guys you feel really good about. Ken Coleman, upside, then, more shots. QJ, I think, is probably the wide receiver 3 there. I think that's pretty fine. And then 2, early young tight ends. Brock, but I thought you got a nice little fall on him. And Tyler Warren, definitely stopping at 2 there. So it's a high risk, high reward type team. But yeah, I mean, that can definitely advance if you get a couple of those other running backs and receivers stepping up. We got Eddie here in the 5th spot. Dak, Aaron Rodgers, Tyler Shuck. I think that's good adding third quarterback. Even Tyler Shuck, I think you'd be surprised how often that ends up coming into play, whether it's due to Dak's injury or just some inconsistency there. Running backs really strong. JT, Brown, Monty, Dobbins, and Brooks backing him up. Then Lamb, DJ Moore, Sutton, Jaden Higgins, just talked about him. Mims, Betch, Hopkins, very strong room. Then Laporta, Goddard, Jonnu. I think it's a good team. Like you said, you need the quarterbacks to step up a little bit more, but if they do, It's going to be very competitive. Then FK 2673, Mahomes, Herbie, 1-2 AFC West punch, Bucky Irving, Pacheco, Garendo, Algier, Braylon Allen, Justice Hill. So, really only 2 clear starters, but then big time upside and contingent plays here. If anything were to happen to McCaffrey and Bijan, if not, they'll get some usable weeks as well. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Braylon Allen has more just regular usable weeks, just because I think Hall, while he can be very valuable in this offense, I do think Braylon Allen has a chance to be like that Monty Jamal Williams in this type of offense. Obviously a lesser version. I don't think the Jets are going to be a top 5 scoring team. And then I like Justice Hill. I like him over the missile. So I like taking him there. Nico, Marv, Worthy, Pickens, Godwin, really strong start to that wide receiver room. Tacking on Harris and Dubs later. Then Hawk, Schultz, and Gadsden. So, Hawk is obviously who you're riding. Schultz, Gadsden, you run the risk of not gaining any points week 6 if Gadsden hasn't really matured to his role yet. But, it's a worthy risk for sure. And no pun intended with you, I believe, having Worthy, which, yes, you did. And seriously didn't mean the pun. But all right. What is everyone feeling? Let's draft something else. Yeah, let's see where we're at. All right. Boy, a lot of comments. We will catch up in a second. I'm gonna try to, let's see where we're at for a sprint. I'd love to do a sprint. Could do the Corgi if that doesn't work, but let's take a look at where the sprint's at. So I'm going to jump in, but if it's, if there's only 3 people in there, I'll probably back out because I don't think we're going to be able to fill it that quick unless people tell me they want to join in. Learn to swim. I finished the Dachshund, so I can't do that. I'll get to the rest of the chat in a second. But let me check out what a sprint's like. So I'm jumping in right now, but I could be jumping right back out if it's, oh, okay. Well, it looks like it's snap filled. And looks like a couple of you, I see Peanut Punch in here. Sorry about that. I did not realize that we'd snap fill. Oh, looks like we have a cross stream going. BBG's in here. So that's probably why it's snap filled. So we're going to be doing a sprint, guys. Sorry for not getting everyone in chat into the room. Let me catch up in chat as I wait for this to start. So I do want to apologize to that. League winner Dylan Gabriel had to backstack. Good drafting. Oh, nice. Glad you're in there. Appreciate it, Bruce. Look deeper. Yep. Heroish running back with elite onesies. Yeah. What kind of draft? Yeah. BBM. I saw that got answered. 9 touchdowns. This was BBM. Sorry for getting so behind in chat. We had a little too long a running back, and then we're taking more running backs. Yeah, wasn't getting as much falling value at running back. I felt the same way. John Ugan, draft NWI now. All right, 4 picks away. We will jump over to the draft shortly. This team just needs to stay healthy. Can't afford an injury anywhere. Great stat. I had no idea. Thank you, Peanut. 6'2". Yeah, no, NWI is interesting now that John is gone. I got to drive to Oregon again. That's right. You are thinking Washington, right? Weekly winners. Yeah, I do some weekly winners, and I will do more down the stretch. That's another one I don't mind kind of waiting more towards. I like the sprint because you kind of draft it the same as a BBM, just maybe a little bit more safety. So let's see. It goes Chase, Barkley, B-Rob. So yeah, I guess we got into BBG's stream as well. So this should be a fun dual stream draft. I'm going to do both Lamb and Gibbs have great playoff schedules. I'm going to go Lamb. So bring this up. You that guy? No. I love the fun conversation going on in chat, everyone. Thank you. I was doing a sprint either way. Well, glad you made it, Peanut. Yeah, sorry about that. Never done a sprint. So, the interesting thing with the sprint, very similar to, I think it's a very similar approach to like a BBM. And we have some rankings and data and articles on the sprint, on all the different contests on our Substack. The way I look at it is, yes, like I think people get intimidated by like the 9,300 pool, 2 of 12 advance weeks 1 through 14, and then there's 9,300 teams. But when you look at it, then it's best at those 3 weeks. And so you look for teams, I think, that have, there can be some correlation, but honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's week 17 or not. I like looking at teams, better weather situations, better environments. Like we talked about, New England doesn't have the greatest playoff situation schedule. So that's something to consider. But a team like Dallas or Detroit, Tampa, San Francisco, those look much better. So, I think the sprint is a fun contest. And, I think if you have, the number one thing is to get your advance rate up. And then sure, like anything, you're going to need some luck, but it's not going to be one of those situations where like a BBM, if you finish as the 11th, the number 2 team in your pod out of 11 in quarterfinals, you could have the most amazing semifinal and finals team, and you just don't make it anymore. This, you would probably have, if that situation played out, you would have a pretty damn good payday. Maybe you're not getting the top prize, but you're probably getting a pretty good prize. We'll go JT here. I don't love Jacob's playoff schedule, so there's a slight knock to me there. Rasheed Rice, don't love his playoff schedule, so slight knock there. Bucky, I was highly considering because I do love the Bucs playoff schedule. Playoff schedules do seem very important. Yes, they are. I mean, it's not the be all end all, but it's important. Any finals teams last year that had player injury during stretch run cuts are, absolutely J Lives. One of my 13 finals teams on Underdog, I must have had James Conner on 4, 5, 6 of them. It probably wasn't half, but probably 4 or 5. And he plays, 4 offensive snaps week 17. I also had, Chuba on a couple, I think on 2. So that hurt. Might have had CD Lamb on 1. Can't remember for sure. But there was a couple. There was one Jalen Hurts team, and I still did okay because I think my number 2 quarterback was Bo Nix. But, not having your top quarterback is never fun. So let's see what I get back to me here. Higgins goes. I'm going to pull up Devontae Adams. Another team that I think is just a tremendous playoff run. As much as I love elite quarterback in this, Allen and Lamar both don't have the most ideal playoff schedules in my book. Not terrible, but I don't, as much as you probably can count on them to have multiple good games, just a little bit of a factor there. Oh, it doesn't look like BBG is live. Must just be in the room. Good luck to all. Funny photo sprint. Yeah. So the polo is just the only shirts you like. Are you trying to hide the arm guns behind professional shirts? I do. Mike Rob with always the fashion advice and the fantasy advice. I do like a lot of polos. Typically on stream, I will wear polos. Yeah. So it is 3 weeks of cumulative scoring. That is the key with this. But it also means, if you have just a terrible week, it's going to be tough to win a lot of money. But even if you have like an average week, a very good week, and a great week, you're not getting a top 10 prize or anything of that nature, but you might get, a pretty decent prize. Maybe inter-division correlation. Not sure what that was about. Inter-division correlation. Is that what you decided to do with your? Oh, and this is an example. AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, they play each other week 16. So you definitely get a matchup there. So if that week 16 game goes off between, Commanders and Eagles, you could have 2 elite receiver scores that week. A team that smashed week 15, then lost by like 2 points week 16 would have finished. Yeah, this is exactly the point. Yeah, those types of teams, you will get paid off pretty well. Drafted 13 BBMs last year, had a few sprints, consolidated to she and Nico was a learning experience. Yeah, I mean, injuries are always going to be a factor in any format. But no, it did get ugly with some teams who invested heavily in wide receiver early. And I had those as well, for sure. Let's see here. JT, Lamb, Devontae Adams. I'm going to take Worthy. Chiefs don't have my favorite schedule, but I don't know if I like Hampton in this. Feels a little rich. Thought about taking Jalen Hurts. Some other receivers. I might go 4th receiver here if Jonathan Taylor's kind of the anchor. I have some quarterbacks I can target, get a couple. Yeah, Eddie, I totally agree with you. I love the different types of fantasy on Underdog, sprint, marathon, eliminator, weekly winners, regular, superflex, and also love the different contest structures. BBM, we just did one, but it is brutal to get through. These, whether it's poodles, even the schnauzers, and puppies, which are 1 of 10s, are just much better rates. And then the things like the poodles and pit bulls and things of that are the 1 of 5s, 1 of 6s. Your ROI is going to be a lot better with those kind of tournaments overall. But at the same time, we do want some BBMs stuff. So I know DK did it last year. I don't know if Underdog does it, but they ran a tournament. He's 1 through 4 early in the season. DK does that. Underdog hasn't done that 1 through 4. What they do is the resurrection. So starting is it after week 5 or week 5 on? And I've done that last couple of years. I only do a couple. Did 3 last year. I think I did advance 2 to playoffs. 1, I did have a finals team with that. That was also a fun sweat. That team just didn't come through in the end. But resurrection is definitely something to keep in mind, because while some people recognize ADP changes, I think it's after week 5, if I remember correctly. I'm going to pull up Kamara. I don't necessarily love double stacking Lamb, Pickens. I mean, Dak is definitely on my radar, but don't love that. Kamara, I know some people are worried about him for a format like the sprint, but I just think he's too good. I know they have the same buy, but I'll be fine at running back. My strategy I usually employ is made for the sprint whenever possible. Draft top 4 offensive teams with killer playoff schedule. Yeah, no, and I agree. Like getting good offenses or getting good usage, like that's why. Like so, for instance, Jonathan Taylor, I don't think it's a great offense, but I think his usage is just off the charts. Particularly now with it likely not being Anthony Richardson, we saw him end the year tremendous last year, including multiple games with Joe Flacco. I think Kamara is the same sort of thing. His kind of usage projects really well. He was excellent last year. He was 6 in points per game. Saints could have won the best offense, low-key offensive lines this year after all the investments they've made in the recent years. And then with the rookie quarterback, could even have even more dump-offs. There's also no Taysom Hill kind of vulturing him for carries and touchdowns. I'm a believer in Kamara this year. Yeah, Hartman's got it. Resurrection team started week 6 last year. Yeah, I believe that's how it goes. And that's a fun tournament. I think Hopkins is dead or could have a small revival this year. So Hopkins, I'd take him some typically in definitely open in Lamar builds and battle on the clock. Then I'll go back to the board after I make my pick. I also don't mind him when he falls. I think he could be a solid floor play, but he could get touchdowns. And that's the other issue is it's not going to surprise me if he, even though way less targets, if he gets like 3 to 4 touchdowns, kind of where Zay Flowers has been. So there's a lot of options there. The one, Lamar is so efficient, but they also don't throw a ton. So how many targets will Hopkins get? I'm fine taking him some just because he's part of such a great offense. If anything happens to Flowers or Bateman, his role could expand. Let's go Caleb Johnson here. Get some more running back talent. Not the best playoff schedule, but this is something like Quinshon Judkins. I really worry about where the Browns are going to be late in the year. So I'm going to knock guys like Judkins and Judy down a bit. Hopkins will be the Ravens' number 2 target and top target in the red zone. I only have. I don't know if it'll be a number 2 target. So maybe you're being facetious there, Mike. But no, I don't think he's totally dead. He dealt with injury last year, obviously midseason trade. Will Levis before the trade. I wouldn't be surprised to see a mini bounce back. I don't think we're seeing anything like 1,100 yards, anything crazy like that. I haven't drafted one yet. I will soon. I keep losing my bankroll to streets and pick'ems. Yeah. Get lucky, my dude. Yeah. J Lives. I think I saw a stat 60% of top running backs won't repeat. Makes things fun. Yeah, I do think there's, I know there's some data to that. Not sure what it was defining as top running backs. And some of it is, injuries. Some of it is just situation. The interesting thing is last year, I'll make this pick and talk about in a second. I will take Mahomes here. Probably won't take Dak as well, but I'm fine going Mahomes. I need more of him. Last year, people were so down on running backs, but they all went to great landing spots. And here's the thing, all those landing spots stay great. Ravens still look amazing. Packers still look amazing. Eagles still look amazing. Just down the line. And some even look better. And I think the Texans look better than they did a year ago for Mixon. Obviously, McCaffrey looks back to be healthy. So running back could actually be deeper this year than it was a year ago. Aaron Jones, as much as I think Mason's going to work his way in, Aaron Jones unquestionably is in a better situation. The Vikings offensive line is just vastly improved this year. I think Jonathan Taylor's situation has gotten better. Kamara's situation hasn't necessarily gotten better as a whole because I think he'd prefer Derek Carr to be the quarterback. But there's enough balancing it out between Kellen Moore. Though I'd like their offensive coordinator last year with Kellen Moore and, the offensive line and no Taysom Hill. And just, across the board, well, all these running backs hit again. No, I mean, some like a James Cook, is he going to get, 14 touchdowns or whatever he had last year? Maybe not. And maybe that hurts. Or maybe Kyron Williams doesn't get the massive role that he did now that there's two young guys in the backfield with him. And also, healthy Puka, healthier tight ends, Devontae Adams. Maybe they just throw for more touchdowns. Kyron is very touchdown dependent. So you have those types of situations to consider as well. For in terms of like some of the top end backs, and then just other ones like maybe Breece Hall, the coaching staff, whatever. Maybe he gets back to being a top 10 back again. So I do think running back can be very can fluctuate a lot, but at the same time, I think I look at it like who's in good situations, and I just think in general there's more running back depth with an elite running back class coming in. Obviously, Raiders much better running back situation. Chargers, Dobbins was fine last year, but they have Hampton and Najee, better running back situation. Steelers probably on par. Browns better than last year, not necessarily better than prime Nick Chubb. And Patriots are better, etc. Giants are better. So there's very few outside of Dallas, like truly weak running back situations this year, is the way I'm looking at it right now. And there the other day for one. Oof. Those pick'ems and streaks can be tough, especially when you miss by one. All right, up in 2 picks. Probably looking receiver here. Downs goes. All right, good. I get my guy Mooney. There's some correlation here with the Rams. And again, their playoff schedule is pretty nice. I think he's a good, solid 4th receiver for this team build with some spike week upside. Appreciate that, Fantasy Dog. I'm surprised PFF rated Indy's O-line in the top 5. Yeah. So what I will say, Indy is the one, and I've heard that pushback about Jonathan Taylor. They lost multiple starters, in fact, to going to the Vikings in Fries and Kelly. What I will say is the Colts have done a good job drafting mid-round talent the last couple of years to backfill the position. Will they be able to fill in a couple starters? We'll see. It does remain to be seen, but I think there's some depth. They apparently feel good enough about it. And I think it also does to help. I mean, Daniel Jones is by no means a savior, but I do think he's an upgrade in a lot of areas from Anthony Richardson. And I think they're just going to run the ball. I think Daniel Jones, they'll throw the ball more than what they were doing last year. But I think they run the ball, and I think they run the ball well. But I don't know if it's top 5 anymore, just because they did lose a couple of starters. But I think it could still be top half. So it's an offensive line that I think took a step back, but I feel confident enough that it could be a small step back. So up in a pick. Quarterbacks are falling. None of these are stacks, but it could backstack someone. Could get my guy Scatterbo to really strengthen the running back room. Giants don't have the greatest schedule. Don't love ETN here. I do worry about my quarterback upside points with just Mahomes right now. Let me take Justin Fields. I probably should have waited to get Dak over Mahomes. I do think the Cowboys have a better playoff schedule, but it just seemed to fall in terms of ADP. So I took Fields. I'm going to take a 3rd quarterback. In Sprint, I really want to have 3 quarterbacks. I just think you're increasing your upside at quarterback. That's still the highest scoring position. And even if it's a low tier quarter, even like in this build, even Tyler Shock could be. I mean, think people forget how often these, lower tier or backup quarterbacks have these spike weeks. I mean, week 17 last year, it was Drew Lock. I mean, he would have been like quarterback 3 on the week. Now in regular, nobody had him, and in Superflex, he was barely owned. But just something to keep in mind, like why that cannot be Tyler Shuck, you tell me. So now let me go back to the chat. Yeah, teams found out that you can't just stop in good running or good passing game. You need both, and you need more than one in most cases. Yeah. I think Flacco games are going to be advantageous for. Are you talking for the Browns offensive skill guys? I think so. I just don't know how long he's starting. Not Flacco, just the pieces. Yeah. I mean, if you told me Flacco started all 17 games, I'd like Judy more, and Njoku, Jenkins, Tillman, all of them more, particularly in this format, but in all formats. I worry it's 6 games. I worry it's 8 games. Even if it gets a little deeper, I just don't know if he's going to be starting in the playoffs. So for the sprint format, I really worry. Johnny left and still nobody dressed NWI. We could. Yeah, I've taken him a couple of times. I don't think on a stream draft yet. Definitely on some slows that I'm doing in the 18th round. Partly, I don't take a ton of Tua. I probably should take more Tua. So I really like NWI in like a Tua stack. But no, he's very much in the draftable mix, in round 18. Megan in a lot of compliments in chat. I'm sure she's happy about that somewhere. Yep. No, I hope we all are. No worse feeling like than voting against your own team in draft or pass. I've been there. Yep. Luckily today I did a couple where I did vote for myself, didn't even realize it. And one of them, I truly went back and forth, and then because I thought they were very even, but luckily I picked the right one. Hopefully my results will show that. So up in 2 picks. Ooh, Dak is there. It's tempting. I don't think that's the right call. Maybe with the 3rd stack. Honestly, I don't really do this. Trey Hareskin taken might help my decision. The other stack I've set up is Penix. I'm going to do it. I don't think this is the most optimal. Having the same buy, I think does hurt you a little bit. If Fields just has a bad game week 10, and I don't have a lot of points because I'm also tied to 2 of my top 3 receivers. I could be in trouble. But if not, to have 2 main stacks, Mahomes and Dak. I do like Dak's playoff schedule, so that helps me out a bit. And then Fields is just kind of going to be an advancement piece. Maybe I get some Mason Taylor later. I'm not too worried about stacking Fields. I like the Indy value in a dome week 16, 17 versus San Francisco and Jacksonville, where there's such a big question. Seattle and Chicago and in 6-3. Yeah, no, that last year, that Seattle-Chicago game, and that was also a situation like Chicago with all the issues that they were having, and Seattle, yeah, that was just an ugly Thursday night game. I think it was Thursday night. Let's see where are we at here. Definitely don't need quarterback now since I invested so much in the position. And I can assure you this is not going to be my favorite build, but we'll find a way to make it work. Yeah, we will need to catch up at receiver later. There's nothing else am I loving here. I will play Dobbins or grab Dobbins. Denver, I think he's going to have a very usable role. Also has some week 17 correlation versus Kansas City. So maybe that helps me out. But yeah, just a part of a good offense. Already not sure what that was in reference to. Got Alex Allgood here. Thanks for joining chat. I was thinking that with NWI, he should be going around 18 every time. Yeah, no, I think he should be going pretty regularly. Yeah. One more like and 60 likes. Make sure to hook up Steve if you haven't yet. Appreciate that, Mike. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all the support. Been enjoying this. Is our third draft. I'm going to wrap it up after this. But it's been a lot of fun. Did 3 different contests, the Dachshund, BBM. Now this is Sprint. Like I said, I'll be back at 1 p.m. tomorrow with Bigelow Fantasy. Then Wednesday night, I'm going to be doing the both the Jeopardy versus Neil, and then a show afterwards. Hopefully, it's a celebratory show. Maybe I'll do a show later in the week. Also, I'm going to do obviously Sibling Showdown with Meg on Thursday. Not sure if I'm going to do anything Friday or Saturday, so we'll see. We'll see what's all good. But really appreciate everyone, all the support. Yeah, and I mean, if NWI is your guy, pull him up to the 17 to make sure you got him. I went MVS in the last draft with Darnold, and he got taken before I got back on the clock. What are you doing with the 2 million if you win, Steve? That's a good question. Good question. I haven't thought about it. Not sure. I mean, definitely gonna probably go on a nice vacation, and I probably will treat my family as well because we all enjoy drafting. For those, obviously, my sister, my business partner, Meg, and then both of our parents. They do more limited tournaments and just follow our rankings and listen to our shows. But they both made the finals last year. My mom did it in 6 drafts. My dad had 29 drafts. Both had very good playoff advance rates as well. And most of these were smaller. They each did a BBM, but it was mostly small contests. But my dad made a finals team as well. So I will share my winnings with my family for all their, support and giving me the love for football. Like we've always been major sports and football fans. So I will share that appreciation. But then we will, if I win 2 million, you can best believe we will do some fun things for the chat, some giveaways. Support all you guys for supporting us as well. So yeah, we'll definitely have to come up with a few things. Let's see, coming up. So Penix would have been there, but I do have Kyle Williams as potential bring back. Hollywood is another stack option. I'm going to go Kyle Williams for the Jets bring back. I don't mind necessarily double stacking. Third week 10. Again, I'm kind of worried, will I have enough points that week to kill me? Again, this kind of tournament, you need to make it 2 playoffs. Right. Bad 40% NWI in early drafts, 90% lately. Yeah. 50%. Oh, I think that's very likely. Reflect the Sun. I'll be going to a few golf tournaments. Probably take my dad to a golf tournament, whether it's U.S. Open or something else. We'll to see what works. Yeah, I mean, with all this NWI talk, you guys are going to make me take them. You can top me if you win. Steve and Meg's mom and dad. Yeah, no, we're a good, close family, and like I said, they helped raise us as football fans and sports fans. So really always appreciate that. Oof, Hollywood Brown fall is going to make it tough to not take him. I maybe didn't play this well. All right, so Hollywood's taken from me. That's probably for the best. Oof. Tight end is dried up a little earlier than I thought. I will take a likely here. No major correlation or anything. Just you can go 3 tight ends and like that. Eddie, appreciate you guys. Adopt the chat. Yeah, there you go. No, we will definitely do some giveaways. You know, last year after I won or got 4th place in the big board, we did some giveaways to celebrate that as well. So yeah, the US Open is, I mean, boy, that one guy under par this year, I mean, it's just so insane. No, NWI is only more and more interesting now. Meg checking in. Good answer. Well, thank you. Expensive adoption with the best ball addiction. Wish they'd bring it back to Chambers Bay, Washington State. When was it in Chambers Bay? I feel like I remember that, but I'm trying to remember. Steve going to be on Jeopardy. I thought that. Yeah, so I'll be on Jeopardy this Wednesday night. I believe it's 8 o'clock. And now Meg asked the question about 2 million. 6 spots draft as well. I'll have to look it up after. Actually, I have a little bit of time here. 6 spots. Oh, LOL hot dogs. I'm definitely seeing them in drafts. Gibbs, Conkey, Garrett Wilson, Moore, Flowers, Rome. Wow. That's a lot of receivers. And DeAndre. Did Caleb get sniped from him? Where did Caleb go? Like, he had a shot here. He took ETN instead of taking Caleb, even though he is Swift and 2 Bears receivers. That's interesting. Pittman, ETN, Trey Harris. I mean, Drake May is a good quarterback, but yeah. Total Bear stack and doesn't pull up Caleb. That is interesting. Okay, I will be up a couple picks. I need to see what he does first. You might go Roshan Johnson with this rate of Bears players. Still only 5 receivers. Bryant is definitely in the mix. Hunter Henry would be a bring back as well. I already have 1 Patriots bring back. Yeah, I'm going to do Bryant. Probably do want a tight end. Ertz or Gesicki. Gesicki would be a bring back to Dak. Gesicki and Baltimore, they play week 15, I think it is. I might lean into Ertz if he's there. There's some running backs I would take. Definitely don't need quarterback at this point. But I do think Rodgers here is decent value. And I think having 3 quarterbacks is very valuable in this format. We're trying to maximize our points over those 3 weeks. Best way to do that, even with an elite quarterback, I think is to have 3 of them. Even if he only adds you 5 points, that could be a huge difference in terms of finishing position. And when I say 5 points, like he gets 25 points and your other quarterback that week would have gotten 20. That's what I mean when I say 5 points. Let me go Ertz. All right, let me get back to chat. God love you guys. Appreciate that. I mean, this has been a fun chat. Good group of guys. Everyone chatting, and some girls. And Kelly, I know, was in here earlier. And Meg, of course, Devonta Smith or Waddle for my Superflex slow right now. Choose for me, Steve. Yeah, I mean, I lean Smith. Not sure what the rest of your build is, what buys are going to look like, if there's any correlations or stacks there. I lean Smith over Waddle. That's me. Fourth place finish. Yeah, that was a fun week 17 sweat. One point as high as second. I mean, I think I had a Monra in the Lions 49ers game, had a Monra, got the final touchdown. I was third at that point. Had he gotten the final touchdown, I would have, and not Gibbs, I would have finished first. But then Saints to Death, who you'll see on Twitter and in the streets, he passed me up from fourth to third instead of pushing me down to fourth. So it was a really fun sweat. But yeah, 10 years ago for US Open be at the Spieth one. Sorry, I meant 7. Okay. I will check that out. Let me look at that real quick. 7 Bowtown. So McCaffrey, Brock, Allen, Kittle, double elite tight end, and this is interesting. Judy, Godwin, Aaron Jones, Downs. It's like taking guys early in every case. It just about feels like Judy. I just don't take Judy in that range. I'm not taking him above these guys, especially with his like playoff schedule. I mean, I think Godwin's very strong in this format. I think the Bucs have a great playoff schedule, and any early injury concerns are out the window. Aaron Jones, Downs, Kyler, Mark Andrews, Stevenson, Javonte. Definitely not my favorite in this type of format. Doubling up Cleveland receivers is interesting. Yeah, that would not be my kind of build. I'll just tell you that. Not the double elite tight ends with an elite quarterback just really puts you behind at wide receiver and still running back. Even with McCaffrey, then your other running backs are Aaron Jones, Ramondre, and Javonte Williams. Like, even spending a first-round pick on McCaffrey, I'm not feeling like I love that running back room. Not terrible, but it's definitely not my favorite. All right, coming up in a couple picks. We'll see what we got here. Can I push Mason Taylor? No. Renegades has no tight end. So I will take Mason Taylor for a third tight end. Get a little stack as well. So, I mean, not taken here. But that's one nice thing when you're, near the edge. You can kind of just easily look ahead, and odds are Mason Taylor's not getting back to me. Steve on Jeopardy, Tiger Woods odds is bet on Tiger versus the whole field. Where would stream? I'll be on Jeopardy on the Fanspeak Network. I believe it's at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. And then after that, at probably around 9:30, I'm going to do my own show. One of these talking ball with Steveospeak. Do we know how many times in BBM the winning team has had a bring back? So I think it depends on what you count as a bring back. This past year, none. The guy, I don't have his entire team memorized in front of me, but he had heavy investment in Bengals and 49ers. And he had no Lions or Broncos bringbacks on that particular team. Now, I know he had other similar builds where he did have bringbacks. And who knows, they might have even been better had they made it to the finals, but they didn't, and that clearly wasn't the winner. The year before, the guy, and if he had the guy last year, I don't think he had any other skinny bringbacks, but definitely not from his quarterbacks and major stacks. I'll make a pick and then I'll answer this a little bit more in a second. in love with this area of the draft. I will take some Shard Smith correlation if he comes back. But make this pick, and then I'll go into 2 years ago, the winning lineup. And I will say the first 3 years, I think I'll had clear bringbacks. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check, but no, Liam and Pat both had some bringbacks. Pretty sure Herzig did as well. But, 2 years ago, so not this past year, the year prior, his first 2 picks were a bringback, Lamb, Amon-Ra, but he got sniped at those quarterbacks. So his 3 quarterbacks were CJ Stroud with, as far as I know, no bringback, but also no stack. He had no other Texans player. He had Tua Tagovailoa. He had Tua. Sorry, can't pronounce it right now. And his only stack for Dolphins was Raheem Mostert, so no true pass catcher. I don't believe he had any Ravens. I'd have to double check. I don't think he had Zay Flowers, but I would have to double check. He did have Green Bay. He had Jordan Love stacked with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. He did have a Vikings bringback in Alexander Madison, but Alexander Madison did not count week 17 because he didn't have a good week. So however you define it, I mean, he definitely had the bringback of the Lamb Amon-Ra, but not part of his core stacks. I know he admitted that that's what he wanted to build out as his core stacks and just got sniped from them and just pivoted and built the best possible team, and it turned into a $3 million winner. So I think it turned into definitely the best possible team. But just to answer your question, that I do know that data. My favorite Spieth putting tip, you got to will the ball into the hole. That does sound like Spieth. He needed a long one, 17th. Sure worked 10 years ago. And I'm trying to remember that. I don't know if I watched it much then. Three tight ends is what caught my eye. Yeah, definitely the double elite. Peanut Punch, appreciate the content. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate having you guys in chat in these drafts. Of course, liking it, everything. Took a bunch of hackers to -11. Brand new. Nice. I wish we could see my old lineups on DK. Yeah, that's one of the things on DK is that after 3 months, all those are gone. There's ways to download it. I've just never done it. You have 3 teams in the final for Superflex or just 1 team in the final for BPM? So to me, I'm going to say the BBM because 1, that's more money that you get $37.50 back for the BBM final. 3 Superflex finals teams at $7.50 a pop would be less. And then, of course, your top prize payout is just much higher for BBM. So, yeah, while I get you have 3 shots to get the $100K or more total money, I will go with the BBM there. If I'm getting to the finals, that's a gauntlet, and I want to get paid out. All right, I'm going to do MVS here. No real correlation. Need a receiver. It got picked over. I don't really love this group up top. MVS, I think, is a fine option. Gives me a spike week guy. Hopefully he spikes one of these playoff weeks, and I'd be real happy for that kind of pick. So we will wrap this up in a second. 7 spot. Yeah, taking 2 elite early tight ends, then tacking on Mark Andrews. That is 3 tight ends in the top 10. That's a strategy. That's even, hit him with the gritty, likes his elite tight ends. I don't even think he does that. So, and his builds, I'd say, generally are much better than that. But, you'll see what wins, see what hits. So, all right, let me catch up in chat. Sorry, I see some supers come in. Thank you guys so much. Reflect this on $10. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for joining chat. Appreciate everything. Fancy Dog, love your analysis so much. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you guys so much. Let me catch up with the rest of the chat. Got Eddie's comment, and okay, I'm caught up. Have fun. My dad had that putter too and did well with it. Nice. Yeah. No, I have really gotten into watching golf a lot more, definitely since COVID, since it was like the first sport back. And, of course, doing like DFS and other stuff with it as well. And, but yeah, I really love watching golf now. I need to get better at playing it myself, that's for sure. And Meg, thanking you guys as well. We do really appreciate all the support everyone gives us, from, just watching, liking, commenting in chat. Another way you can help us is to comment after the show wraps. That can help with your, with the YouTube algorithm. Nobody understands it, but that's what everyone says. So I'm going to believe it. So no, thank you guys so much, truly, for the super chats, for the support, for drafting with us. We really appreciate you all. And I really enjoy doing these. I love talking with you guys. I love hanging out, doing drafts. I know I keep saying it. I will start scheduling guests. I need to stop schedule these shows a little bit more advanced instead of, I think it was like 3:30 today. I talked to Meg and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do a show tonight. So I need to be better at that. But thank you guys again so much. I'll be wrapping it up in a second. I'm going to go over this team and these teams. Just Peanut Punch was in with us. BBG was in this draft, but I'll go over mine and Peanut Punch's team. So don't need to do the refresh since we are both in here. For me, 3-5-7-3. I do think that's kind of the best way to build in sprint, to be kind of even and balanced. I definitely invested a lot more in quarterback than I probably initially or generally like to do. But two guys stacked, Mahomes and Dak. Fields, upside play, could give me some spike weeks. Fields gives me one in spike weeks during those 3 weeks, not only, and also helping me advance to the playoffs. I think more than enough to warrant the pick. And could have waited on Dak to begin with, but I also just love Dak's playoff schedule. Running backs, Taylor, Kamara, then Caleb, J.K. Dobbins, Brashard Smith. I think it's a pretty good running back room. 2 rookies, 3 vets. Week 11, I'll be thin, but other than that, it's pretty strong. Should be pretty good. I really think Taylor and Kamara could go really well. And of course, 2 dome running backs, have some dome games in the playoffs. Then Lamb, Devontae Adams, Xavier Worthy, Mooney, hitting up a couple rookies, hitting a vet late. I'm obviously counting on these 4 guys to carry my room, also to fill in the flex some. But then I got some upside plays here, some correlations with Denver, Kansas City, New England Jets. And then tight end, likely just get the first tight end out the board. Part of a good offense. We talked about that. Zach Ertz, part of a good offense. Some week 17 correlation. With Dallas, and then finally Mason Taylor to stack up with Justin Fields. So overall, not my favorite team, but I think I'm fine in every area. I think I have a path if I make the playoffs. Hopefully it's, I love BBG also, but hopefully it's me and Peanut making the playoffs from this. Hopefully we can both do some damage. Let's see what Peanut Punch did. 3-6-6-3. Again, pretty balanced build. I think that's the way to go. Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, Matt Stafford, strong quarterback room. Nix and Purdy, these guys can be top 10. Stafford, low key, I think people need to keep in mind, Stafford obviously needs more touchdowns, but he's adding Devontae. Puka missed a lot of time last year. The tight ends were a mess last year. Tight ends are deeper, healthier. Offensive line is healthier. Hopefully Puka for a full season, Devontae for a full year. His touchdowns could really spike. Running backs, Cook, Connor, and Tracy, Davis, Garendo, Bigsby. There's a path for all these backs. 2 clear starters, and then if any of these guys take over, they're absolutely smashes for the playoffs. Obviously, they can give you a spike week here or there, and just help you advance throughout the year. Then Puka, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Courtland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, no, this makes total sense to stop at 6. 5 guys in the top 80. Tack on De'Ami Brown, which I think is a nice late round pick. Then you went later round tight end, but some stacks, stacking with Ferguson. But Chig and Theo, two young tight ends. Definitely think they're both starters. Chig might share time a little bit more, but overall, I think it's fine. Famously last year, the sprint, it was a different format, $50. I think it was the sprint winner in the playoffs only had like 30 or 40 combined points from his tight ends. So tight end is the least important position. So, I think it's fine to, if you're punting it off a little bit, not the worst thing in the world. I'm not nuts about the players around Dax ADP making him a viable pick. Yeah. What's your favorite draft spot, Steve? If you had to draft at one position every draft, what spot would you take? So, if I had to draft, obviously I'd say the one, because then I could just pull up guys, whoever I want. But in terms of like where I reasonably, I think for me, probably the 6th spot, because you're guaranteed one of, there's 3 running backs, 3 receivers that generally go in the top 6, Chase, Lamb, Jefferson, Barkley, Bijan, Gibbs, whichever order it is. You're not going to get much Chase or probably Bijan and kind of not Jefferson really, but you get a decent chunk of Lamb, Gibbs, and Barkley even. Some more of those other guys, but also you can pull up Puka, you can pull up CMC, particularly if CMC looks great down the stretch. It's that kind of stuff. And so I'd say the 6th spot, just because you would still have a fair amount of control. You could pull up guys. And I will say I do like drafting out of the 12 spot, just because double tapping there, if anyone falls, you feel like you're getting value. Even if it goes in order in ADP, I think you could take, 2 running backs there. You could hit 2 receivers with like point up, PTJ and Thomas. So it just feels like a very good area. So I agree with that. So we're going to wrap up in a minute. But just want to thank everyone again, remind everyone of first our Fanspeak Substack, one-time payment for the year, $34.99. Get content, basketball rankings, covering all the different formats all year long. We're going to be adding more and more to it throughout. And thank you again for liking and subbing to the show. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate just the chats. Just love talking ball. Love, being able to engage with the community like this. Really, really enjoy this, and I appreciate all the support. And yes, I'm going to be doing it more and more this week. I have a show tomorrow, 1 p.m. with Big Loaf Fantasy. We'll be talking draft or pass, doing some drafts, just talking ball in general. Wednesday, Jeopardy at, I believe, 8, and then 9:30, I'm going to do my own show. Maybe I'll have a guest on, I'll see. Thursday, Meg and I have Sibling Showdown. Friday, she's Friends of Best Ball. I don't remember who it is right now. Maybe she can throw it out in chat. And then I think Thursday or Friday, she mentioned the DK show will go. I'll probably do another show Friday or Saturday. So we'll keep you up to date. Just follow us on Twitter. Have that bell notification so you know when we go live on YouTube. And thank you again for everyone. Hope everyone has a great night. Enjoy drafting, and let's all hope that Puppy's live tomorrow, or other contests. Hopefully, it's more than one. So we'll see. But appreciate you all. Fancy Dog, be well to you too. Thank you guys. Meg answered. I'll probably say the 9th spot early in draft season. And yeah. Neil is for Friends of Best Ball. So Neil's going to be on a couple times this week. Eddie, we are part of Fantasy or the Pounders Discord, but I think we are going to be launching our own Discord as well. So look for that in the coming weeks. So thank you guys, everyone. And I'm going to get us out of here. Hope you all have a good night, and I will talk to you next time.